carry these days, but people now are starting to abuse much more her laning stage. So instead of maxing the aura as you used to always do, you know, for years and years in Dota, some people are actually only putting the single point in aura, maybe some 2 points, and then maxing Crystal Null or Frostbite early, depending on the game, just to really take advantage of the early game power spike of a Crystal Maiden. We'll see. It is also one of Aina's best heroes as well, so yeah, maybe they're bringing the spirit of him with them.
Yeah, of course, and just watching Pubber there block the camp, so not going to be able to get any pulls off. Generally, you see the Crystal Noble build against something like a Lycan, funnily enough, just because he brings too many summons to the table, but they're going to be running the Mirana top lane instead.
Of course, because Mirana is not as great against Lycan early, but once he gets Helm of the Dom or Necros, Mirana is amazing against them, right? The insta-kill on the creeps is fantastic, and I think she just does a bit better in harassing the Grimstroke as well. So, I mean, it's one of X's Vampire's also star heroes. You went for Gush level 1 on Blizzy. They're putting a lot of pressure on Grimstroke. They know they're not going to kick Lycan out of lane too easily, but they should be able to kill Grimstroke if he messes up. Right. Just like that. First blood, very simple. Very good arrow as well.
That one's granted thanks to the ward. I was about to point that out, but looks like he's going to point it out with the nice little arrow there for first blood. Just amazing harasser. Mirana, just one of the more powerful heroes probably for like, what, 2-3 years now for just so many reasons. Actually,
please nerf her.
In 7.28, and it's no surprise to see why. I mean, with rapid attack rates, and you've got now the Gush minus armor, even Lycan starting to not have a very fun time here. And that's a dead courier as well. It's a really, really tough start to this game here for the Grimstroke. No more passive goldie for a little bit of time. That one really, really hurts.
He finally has a single point of Feral Impulse, which has got incredibly buffed at level 1 as well, so now it actually gives you, not in the last patch, but you know, gives you a bit more regen, which makes it a bit more valuable, just have a single point in it. But he's also staying very close to his tower, because with the Gush and the physical attack damage, a Lycan just can't really tank a Tidehunter. So while you stay near the tower...
Lightstone as well of Mirana.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough. Yep, you get the +1 armor, you get +2 HP regen. You can see even Grimstroke's trying to trade with the Mirana underneath the tower, but it's just too much minus armor. It's just too much damage. What do you do?
And this hero is just really dumb. And then she's like, all right, well, I mean, I guess Mirana is not that great at doing other things, right? Nope. She can also rotate amazingly, defend the mid push by killing the catapult, can deal with most heroes in the game. It's just incredible.
Super well. It's ridiculous. Yes. Ruins the jungle. It's amazing. But we are going to see a mid lane rotation here pretty darn soon. This is a fun mid lane. SF versus Storm. Kind of a bit of one of the more classic ones. Early, probably SF favored until you hit level 6, and then it's all Storm's game for a little bit of time. From there, but getting level 6 is going to be the dangerous part here for Storm, who really, really does rely on his positioning, especially when he wants to go for the Vortex Static Remnant combo. It can be quite challenging against a hero like the SF. But he's doing pretty well so far, actually, surprisingly. 18-3, so leading the SF by over 2 waves is just really incredible.
I mean, here we're seeing literally the reason. Well, actually, in the bottom lane, though, they're going for cover here. Has Frostbite, still no point in the aura. That Frostbite might just save his life, though. As Melis is actually in trouble. They get the passive off on Monkey King, but he's not chasing after the Timbers up. It's too difficult. Doesn't want to go after the Phoenix either, so gonna stop the aggression for now. 7
stick charges, even with the Orb of Corrosion. It's going to be a bit of a challenging kill, so he's going to go back focus on getting some CS instead.
Yep. Orb of Corrosion is fantastic, of course, but you are still the carry, right? So sometimes with Orb of Corrosion as a melee carry, particularly a Monkey King or, you know, Slark, Bloodseeker that can play more aggressive in lane, you forget that you're supposed to be farming, right? And you just really want to push the offlaner out, and then you miss a lot of CS. And I like Sunny's diligence, right, towards staying in the farming game.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite important in this game because there's a real chance right now this SF's not having such a great game as Pubber does eat that.
He might die. I think he dies here.
Fire Spirit will catch him. Nicely done there. It's a nice toss.
And his courier dies too.
Yeah, both position 5s having a pretty tough time.
Yeah, but in this case, the Crystal Maiden, I think, feels weaker, because Grimstroke, you don't necessarily pick him to win the lane. Like, he's good for the lane, but he's not the reason why you pick him. With CM, it's all about securing your carry's farm. Which he did do, though. Yeah, crit on the top lane. Ooh, walked into the air. Was trying to juke it there by zigzagging, but the drunk strats did not work there for Lycan.
Drunk strat's not working too well when you're anchor smashed and gushed as well. There's not too many places you could go. Astral down the bottom lane, does have himself the dive, and with the Fire Spirit Slope, actually not diving aggressively here. He will die. Maybe it was going to tick down eventually, but tried to get some more damage onto the Monkey King instead of Icarus diving back. I'm not sure if he would have lived or not, but either way, now he is going to be dead.
Well played there. Usually Monkey King struggles a bit against Phoenix because obviously reducing your attack speed makes it really difficult to get off your Jingle Mastery, but not the case here. Storm does rotate though, try to steal the rune. Pupper will die for it at this rate. He's actually going for the second rune and just wasting the Storm's time. So he does feed a kill to the Storm, but in exchange for the Bounty rune is fine. Xani though, a difficult position as well as Melis chases him out of the lane. Now Timbersaw reaches his second point to Directive Armor. Usually this is the turning point for most Timbersaws in lane. Now it's too difficult to kill him. It's really not worth your time. Yeah,
even with the Maiden's magic damage here, she's just not going to be high enough of a level as they'll get a second kill in this top lane. Now Lornoff making the rotation over with the Invis rune, finding the kill there. Very, very nicely done indeed. It's a pretty tough start here for PuckChamp, the way things are currently heading, but they still do have themselves a Storm Spirit who's going to be pretty strong here for about the next 5 to 7 minutes, I would say, until we get this Yule Scepter up, and then it's really going to be, I think, SF setting the pace here for a while.
Yeah, that's what you have to do, right? SF is I think the definition of the high risk, high reward kind of hero. So if you do have a really good mid game, that's where your strength relies on. You can be one of the best space creators in the game, but it requires such a precise execution that a lot of pros are a bit afraid of picking him. That's why I like that you mentioned that Lornoff is confident in the hero. That's usually the only times you ever see an SF being picked. When someone is confident enough, they know they can do well with him. But I do find that his new shard and in general the changes that he received in the last patch does help him be a bit more consistent again.
Yeah, that, and of course, this was much before 7.28, but now capping the souls at 20 instead of 36.
That made it much easier.
Which makes deaths much less punishing. My goodness, that was...
Yes.
I mean, could you imagine? I didn't play much mid lane, so... but even just having an SF on your team, oh, he died once. Guess we have to just turtle for 2 minutes while he farms the whole map until he has damage. It's so punishing. So glad to see this hero back in a very playable position.
Yeah, me too, actually. It is true that the 36 souls was kind of a remnant of the old era, right, when Dota was a bit slower. And SF is like, I'm supposed to be a space creator, but also if I die, it's GG, so...
It's GG, yeah.
Right?
It was even worse than like your TA dying once or twice in lane, because it was just, your mid, the SF could barely even go back to lane without dying against most mid laners. Huh. It was
exactly, and then you had Yule Scepter, but no ultimate to use.
Lizzie running away. Lizzie, he's going to be okay. Now hasted up, SF Lornoff joining the fight. He wants to go for the easy kill onto the Grimstroke. Desperate still does have the ball lightning ready to go. Lornoff is going to have this kill easy peasy. Arrow's going to miss. Desperate still running out through the trees. Already a medallion completed here on a Mirana. Excess Vampire, though, is going to not have enough lockdown. They're going to keep chasing, though. You still have decent mana on Storm. Is this a kill? It is? Wow.
Yes. Wow, yeah. The Storm, he was just not trying to ball lightning completely because he was afraid of course, being caught out by a hated SF. Made sense, right? I made the choice there. He didn't have TP, which was the right choice per se. He should have just ball lightning TP, but it wasn't available to him. So, yeah, the haste just does a lot of work, and the SF really recovering from a pretty bad mid lane.
Yep.
Now, top in net worth, really happy with this. Gonna start becoming the space creator you hope.
Yeah, it was a great counter rotation as well. Johnny is starting to really suffer down here like you predicted, however. Now that we have the Chakram out, there's not really too much room for him to go. Melis should be able to get some pretty free experience here. They're going to have to make a pretty big rotation, probably including the SF with Yules if they want to try for this kill. But speaking of that Yules, we are really close to it. Maybe just a couple 2 CS here away. He's got himself a Clarity on the way as well, so he's probably going to be looking for a quick little Yules Requiem combo. His top lane, Johnny, is going to land a stun here onto Astral, but he gets off the Icarus dive, so he's going to be able to buy himself a lot more time to live.
Astral, let's see if they're going to still catch him with the Monkey King. Oh no, he's out of the map now, because Phoenixes can do that. Alright, well at least you do get to push here on Gambit side, so at least you still take the tier 1 tower, but Timbersaw's doing the jump of 4 heroes, and mid, they're actually killing off Lornoff here. Storm wants his revenge kill. The Ghost should just be able to finish him off. Nice, wants to save his life though. I like it still wants to go in, but the Rage keeps him in place, and a Requiem of Souls. He will die without Requiem, but might guarantee a counter kill. No, Blizzy unfortunately out of mana, could not quite anchor smash Desperate before he did ball lighting away. Very well played though for the Ravage. I think it was the best out of that situation, but they couldn't accomplish what they were going for.
That's right. Yeah, and I was about to say, you can see PuckChamp maybe trying to tilt their opponents a bit. They're saying, where were the TPs, guys? They had a +1 there. That's an easy, maybe double kill. I think SF still dies, unfortunately, but at least you get something other than, I mean, Yule Scepter reveal it'll sound silly, right? But he literally got that delivered at the 11th hour. That was the first showing of our Shapeshift rather on Lycan, our first Ravage. They didn't get anything out of it, Avo. So yeah, no TPs. The Maiden wasn't carrying one. Excess Vampire, I'm not sure what he was doing, to be honest. Wasn't looking at his position on the map, but that's where that tip comes from. And I think Gambit are going to be kicking themselves a little bit after that one.
I mean, I think it just comes down to what I was mentioning before this happened, which is that Timbersaw alone was doing the job of 4 heroes, right? And then the Timbersaw was essentially accomplishing this trade, which made it really difficult for Gambit to play the spaces any longer. Because they're like, okay, so do we rotate heroes and then lose the potential tower and the pressure up top, right? Maybe they didn't even have to say TPs available because they all have to go top to begin with. And then it's also PuckChamp uses their lineup to their strengths. They know they have a stronger early mid-game cores with the Lycan and Timbersaw, and they're taking advantage of these by just allowing them to solo a bit more, whereas Gambit is trying to force 5-on-5 engagements, trying to take advantage of the tide.
And not to mention how mobile they are, as we see Desperate making the jump then onto Blizzy. They do have plenty of protection nearby. Dust now applied. Look at the body block with the wolves. Blizzy though quite tanky here, only 2 points of the Kraken as well. He will be slowed down eventually. Monkey King waiting in the trees, but Johnny is not going to be able to really do much about that. He's just going to have to hop down and go along his merry way.
Yep, we will see. Blizzy maybe a bit too far in, right? I would say for a Tide. I'd expect a Timbersaw to make those kind of plays, right? Because you can get away with your life and waste a bunch of time. I don't think Tide can really do that. I think Tide is also an off-layer that nowadays is played with a bit more greed in mind. And actually, losing it like that is not great.
Definitely, and actually I was making the point that look how actually mobile, especially early, because all the mobility is tied to the spells here for PuckChamp, that they are when compared to Gambit. Really only Monkey King has as much mobility. Mirana as well, it would be unfair to say, right? And SF, due to his general tendencies to build lots of move speed, but they can't really run from these engagements versus PuckChamp. I mean, how do you even do that against a Storm, Lycan, Timber, even the Phoenix is going to be able to catch up to you rather quickly. So PuckChamp, I feel like they're probably feeling very, very, very strong, with the caveat that they do not have the best team fight ultimates early. I think still you probably lose to Ravage, Requiem, even if they're both level 1, and they need to be aware of that, and I think they are.
I completely agree with you. The 5-on-5 for Gambit is a bit stronger, but the difficulty earlier, of course, is how do I get to force these fights? Which I think has been Blizzy's desperation. Like, he's trying desperately to try to accomplish something here in this map by playing a bit extra aggressively, trying to see if the enemy team will create a misstep. But honestly, well played by PuckChamp. They're not really playing into the enemy's game. It's really only Melis that is out of position. He's a Timbersaw, so there's no such thing as out of position for a Timbersaw this early, right?
It's very true.
And they're just putting pressure in the towers while they're accomplishing, while they're getting good farm on both their cores, which are relatively greedy. And now we have Necros level 3 on Lycan, by the way, with Shapeshift ready.
Okay, we also have a Maelstrom finish now on Johnny. They're going to smoke up. They're looking for a fight here. Melis is just such a difficult kill, but perhaps not with the Yule Scepter combo. They can go for it.
Ravage.
Counter initiate onto Duka, but that's gonna be all that just for the Timbersaw.
But the Shapeshift got used.
Yeah, it did.
Look at this. Lycan walks in, Excess Vampire could be in trouble. Requiem of Souls have been charged beforehand because they were predicting this Lycan play. But now, thanks to the Greater Soul, they catch a double electric vortex. The Supernova as well. And Xani could be in trouble as the Shapeshift is just too fast to run away from it. He manages to kill Puber, but Xani, thanks to the Moonlight Shadow, is capable of just hiding, right? They say you can't run, but you can't hide. Well, I guess the Monkey King just defies that saying.
Yep. Yeah, that was actually a little bit spooky there for Gambit. Good call there on the counterplay from PuckChamp. Unfortunately, I mean, it was a 1-for-1 there, despite just about every single ulti being used and everyone out of spells. But only the Timbersaw dies and only the Maiden dies for Gambit. And it looks like Gambit, speaking of which, I want to fight a little bit more. They feel really, really strong off the back of this Maelstrom, and I got to agree with them here.
Yeah, this has been the build for Monkey King, right? We're completely replacing and taking over the previous Battle Fury build, because it does both things great. Can you fight with it? Yes. Can you farm with it? Yes. What else do you want off an item, right? It's even cheaper than Battle Fury.
It synergizes beautifully with the Ags as well.
True, yes. And that also gives you pushing power, so you get pushing power, you get fighting power, and the farming power in the same hero with just 2 items, which are not that expensive. It's great. The issue here, though, is I think they're just trying to defend the tier 1, because if they force a fight without Ravage and Wukong's command and the Requiem, yeah, I don't know. You don't even have Moonlight Shadow. Yeah. Like, you don't even have the initiation.
They really needed to use everything in that engagement. I mean, hey, well played. I think they would come out on top there. Melis once again showing, but into the triangle they go. They're going to catch cover here. He's silenced up for a second. Drops a ward before he dies, but will not be able to do too much. Now, look at this. Melis perhaps in some trouble.
In comes Desperate. He wants to go for the SF, showing off his Orchid as well. Can they kill him in time? Yeah, Lycan's even joining with his units, and Lorna will die. And here, my friends, is the power of the buffed Feral Impulse. Lycan no longer requires Shapeshift early to fight, because you can just send your units in, and they can do your dirty work for you.
Yep, especially because Howl as well is global, so it doesn't even matter.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
No.
Well, global with your units. Yeah.
Global with your units, yes, thank you. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So now Lycan can actually fight without the Shapeshift, which makes it a bit stronger early, and this is what they're trying to take advantage of. However, Grimstroke in a really bad position, might just get punished here by the Monkey King. He doesn't even get the Inkswell off, he's just going to die. But no big deal, it's just a support. You just killed the SF and took the mid tower. You're winning if you are PuckChamp right now.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So, I mean, you killed SF without using an ulti. I mean, frankly, that's amazing. You're telling me you killed a tempo mid laner without using any ultis? That's incredible. You're winning. I agree. That's going to be off the back of that Orchid, of course. We're going to be going next into Archaea for Storm Spirit. So just looking to up his damage for now. Crit with the classic drums of endurance, which have been upgraded. Very aptly named, of course, to 8 charges. So you can use them a little bit more liberally now. Astral as well, going for the Eul's Scepter here is quite interesting. Best way to counter an SF Eul's is, well, with a Eul's of your own, though. So can't really blame him on that one. Blizzy has another medallion. That's actually 2 medallions now on this team going into the Solar Crest for him. Looking to annoy him. It does have this Hood of Defiance, though, making him, well, even tankier than he normally is. For the rest of the team, perhaps looking to start to push top. Blizzy looking to TP out, will be able to do so. For the rest of the PuckChamp, though, they found Johnny in the top lane. Freezing Field will be dropped down onto Desperate. There's going to be the Supernova, though. Johnny, turning to a tree, tries to dodge the damage, won't be able to do so. And even though the Maiden does have 20 bonus armor, she still gets eaten up by Crit. Excess Vampire is next. True sight here on the Warrior. Really know where you can go, Lauren. Also looking to turn with the Eul's combo on the Arcane Root, but the dog runs fast. Now they have finally no more Shapeshift. Lizzie nearly dies, though. I think that was the last Will doing a lot of work there. And all of a sudden, Lornoff finds himself out of position. Underneath the tier 1 tower, he will go. Melis continuing to chase him down. Desperate with decent mana here. Could zip on forward. Will do so. Arrow sails through. Does not catch anyone. Down goes the SF. Can they turn on to more? The Maiden doesn't have the damage. The Soulbinder up to 2. Melis now diving the tier 2 tower. When will he stop? Not until everyone is dead, Avo. But look, Johnny's back. But he's dropping it all. This is the longest fight in the world. But Johnny, yeah, there's going to be more tips out from PuckChamp.
He killed Phoenix,
get the kill on the Phoenix. So hey, you got the Phoenix and the Storm, but one heck of just, you know, I think the train is entering the station here for Gambit or something. I don't know.
That was so odd. That team fight went really badly, and then Sonny's like, I'm just gonna carry you guys, literally. Wukong's command gets the only kills in that engagement, showing the strength of the Monkey King, totally. But still, we see that they're just not ready to fight just yet, right? Usually team fight lineups get stronger. They're not quite there yet, and the mobility by PuckChamp is better. I got that lag too, by the way.
I got it too. I was gonna say, hey, please play me, Mr. Radio Land, man. Yeah, that was just server lag, everyone. The players got it, we got it.
We're still in beta. It's gonna happen. They'll fix the servers when we finally release this game, right? So it's no big deal. By the way, since we're in pause, can I finally say something? I absolutely love PuckChamp's logo. Can we please get a PuckChamp with a Tokyo Ghoul face? Yes, please. We people unite.
Well,
that is a great show, especially season 1. Okay, I got it out of my system. That's it.
I'm curious as to what it is, because their like their team banner has like just
it's Tokyo Ghoul, dude.
You know, PuckChamp. Listen.
It's Tokyo Ghoul, mate.
All right.
It's amazing. It's great.
Okay.
And one day I'll show you. I'll force you to watch it with me. Do not worry.
We'll watch it after we finish The Good Place. I think PuckChamp's here. Desperate's going to find himself a bottled Arcane Rune, actually. Or sorry, make that Regen Rune, which at this point is probably better. I would
It's
say.
definitely better. At Storm, there's no better route. In fact, talking about Storm, they go for the Mirana here, and with a Ghostly Ren, it's super easy to kill Excess Vampire. Goodbye to the Mirana, and look at PuckChamp, already 2k in the lead, pretty happy with the lineup. Melis trying to go to the high gun, cuts on the trees, hopes for the Inks well stunned. Very well played by the Timber Saw, but not quite stunning at low enough. Instead, they silence him. He has a BKB. He can still use it. Wrecking Souls immediately trying to push Melis away, but oh, it's a bait. He wasn't actually going to use it. But he does force the enemy team to back out. That's how you know he's a true SF player.
That's true. Yeah, it was a zoning one. I mean, he can't really use it right now. If he uses that, first of all, he gets literally nothing out of that. He's already taken a big L by popping that 10-second BKB just to live. But there's no follow-up. There's no Ravage at that point for another 30 seconds. Now it's up in 10. Monkey King has no Wukongs from earlier. That's up in another 15. So there's just going to be no follow-up. So unfortunately, that sucks. But that's the right play out from Lornoff.
Yes.
And you can kind of sense the desperation. Maybe, I think that's just being wise because PuckChamps, they know that right now they're in a good position. Melis can just tank the tier 2 tower for days, and they're just going to be looking to slow siege here. But now all the ultis are back up for Gambit, so we could potentially see a play out from them as soon as this BKB is back up in 20 seconds.
Yeah, and Gambit needs to try to force, since they didn't have to use the Requiem there, now they have the full ultimates off, and forcing a 5-on-5 engagement would be ideal, but when you're losing and you don't have map control, it's very difficult to force these fights, except with the thing like Blizzy's doing right now, or so it seems like, right? Lornoff is nearby, Blizzy's falling way too quickly though, and he won't be able to use Ravage in time. Now they try to hook shots, the Shadow Fiend was like, I'm playing Timber Saw, so they can't really do that.
Wow, that Timber Saw damage was incredible. 545 pure damage, could not purge off that silence, unfortunately, so no chance to use the Ravage. And honestly, even if he wasn't silenced, I think he probably, again, just would have taken the death. There's no follow-up. Gambit, they're at this stage of the game already where they need their team fight superiority to try and turn this game back in their favor. I think late game, they're looking a little bit better here, but for now, the problem is actually getting to that late game. And it's going to be made especially difficult here as PuckChamps will be picking up the first goal of the game here right on the 20 mark.
Yes, because despite all the farming that you have, your mid laner is essentially more of a space square than he is a secondary carry, as opposed to the Storm, who's very easily a win condition here. So in that sense, Gambit does suffer a bit, right? Their team fight is where they really... They don't have the carry potential that PuckChamp does, and there PuckChamp can take advantage by constantly forcing these haphazard engagements, just forcing these simple skirmishes with only 2 or 3 people, and taking advantage of the fact that you just can't out-carry them, especially not with a Monkey and
Look at
SS.
his build, by the way, on crit. I was wondering why he wasn't really pushing it. They were pushing Sans Lycan, which is kind of really scary because now with that Lycan is joining the fun, they're pushing farther. Yep, that's right, a second Orchid Malevolence.
That's really cool, actually. I like that. Wait, Blizzy, trouble. Lornoff doesn't have a Wrecking of Souls, charges it up. Not much damage, but the fear does help to stop the Storm. Storm is not the Aegis, though, so he might lose his first life. Not even. Supernova used defensively, and they lost cover. Still no Ravage from Blizzy. They might kill him before he gets it up. Blizzy's dead. Thanks to the silence, they guarantee a Ravageless Tidehunter. As they go further, Storm loses the Aegis, but he's perfectly fine. Blizzy's forced to buy back. Ravage in hand. They only see Ducalis and the Shapeshifted Dog, but they do find the Storm. Perfect Ravage now. Stopping Melis as well. With the Frostbite, he's unable to go back home. And those buybacks work perfectly in their favor. They finally managed to turn something around. However, I think that's still a equal trade, if anything, right? Because he did force the 2 buybacks. Not ideal for them, but it's the best they could muster.
Absolutely. I do apologize about that. The game audio increased on its own, but that now has been fixed. I sincerely apologize about that.
Oh, Dota.
My goodness. Oh, they're still fighting, by the way. At least they're picking up scraps at this point is really a much more apt way of saying what we just saw. I was really looking forward to that one. I thought that was an excellent fight from PuckChamps up until I saw our Storm Spirit start to ball lightning into the Wukong's command.
Yeah.
That's going to punish you very, very hard. A nice job there on Gambit. Once again, Blizzy, I didn't see what he got stunned by. It might have been an Inkswell, but he had an opportunity for a pretty good Ravage in that first half of the fight pre-buyback, but just didn't get the chance. He got stunned, no good opportunity, but that buyback was beautifully executed there, and they turned the fight. Gambit again, that's why they need all their ultis up at once. That's why I've been saying it so frequently.
Yeah, I mean, right now, obviously, PuckChamp is winning there. I would say playing better, at least playing to their strengths better. But there is something to be said about Blizz's Iron Will, right? Knowing that even though you're about to die, don't use your Ravage there. You know that you have a buyback, fight it to your strengths. Don't just desperately try to throw it out being useful. Because it's been the second or third time, really, Tidehunter dies without using Ravage. And the double silence is going to make this even easier now. He does dispel them, but you deal damage before that happens, right?
Man, look at the experience from Gambit. They see no heroes on the map, and they all position themselves incredibly defensively. This is great. I just love pointing that stuff out whenever I see it. Smoke's going to break. It's just Pubber. If Pubber dies, honestly, they're probably happy. Supernova. They were hoping to find Monkey King, and honestly, they almost did.
Yes. In fact, if he had completed his curse dive, he was very close to cutting down Monkey King's tree. But the Supernova does not cut down trees, guys.
It actually does.
Oh, sorry, it does not cut down trees that far.
It does.
He cuts down trees in the area. Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. But hey, I think Gambit overall, that's a smoke. No one farmed during that time because it's just too risky for them. But now that they have vision and intel, a Supernova has been utilized. They're going to be a little bit more confident here and looking to fight. As Sapphire with the Yule Scepter combo, Blinks, BKBs, Requiems, free kills onto the sports. Thank you very much. Gornoff will take more of those to try and get himself that Lincoln Sphere that he's got queued up now.
Okay. I actually don't mind this, but like SF is going full initiation and like defensive utility, right? Blink, Yule Scepter, BKB, now with the Lincolns. He's not really going to have much damage, but usually actually, before that happens, a bit of damage towards Blizzy. As they also find excess Vampire. He managed to get the silence off. Doesn't really matter because he has a TP. Blizzy, though, could be in bigger trouble. They also have his own TP, but it's very difficult against the Storm. They catch Blizzy, and Tide, I think this... Well, maybe not with the Moonlight Shadow. Do they have any dust or anything? No need?
These are core players. They don't need protection.
You're right. What am I saying?
AoE damage.
Dust is for noobs, right? Who miss their skills.
Speaking of which, dies again with Ravage on cooldown or off cooldown, and I don't say that as a way to flame him because obviously there's no point in ravaging there. But I wanted to actually touch on this because you mentioned it earlier how he's got Iron Will, this Blizzy, right? Lots of experience, definitely in the wheelhouse, you can tell, but also lots of trust in the teams, right? I mean, how many times have people tilted in pubs? Obviously, pro games and pub games not similar at all, but the mentality I think can be compared. You know, oh, you died without using Ravage. Why? We could have maybe done this, and that. I met the team completely trust them. They go, nope, we know when and when not you want to use that Ravage, and we'll just go and go off of that. Especially when you're playing with someone as experienced as that, right?
I said this in a cast once, like exactly what you're saying about Omega Gaming, and their support player came on my stream just to go, no, I was screaming at him like he was a noob, but he was a piece of trash.
That's different.
And I was like, well, I guess.
By the way, they got signed, right, Omega?
Yeah, they're on no ping now.
That's right, no ping. I just wanted to make sure I had the right one. I was pretty sure it was no ping, but yeah.
Sorry, essay is later, guys. I'm also doing that in Spanish. I'm very excited. But we have the CIS right now, and as you say, yeah, Gambit, experienced team. They know how to flame when this happens. I find that the issue with Blizzy right now is not so much his playstyle, but he has to fulfill so many roles. He's the counter initiation for the team. He's also their main initiation, to be honest, because the supports are not offering any sort of reliable AoE stuns. He's kind of their best dead laner, besides Mirana, maybe. And Mirana's not really fulfilling that role because she has a Spirit Vessel. She's more of a hunter kind of ganker, right? So Tide is kind of doing 3-4 roles at once, and that's making Blizz's game really difficult. So a lot of his deaths are just a result of him trying to fulfill multiple roles because of the draft they draft.
Another smoke here. They're going to catch Johnny perhaps.
Oh, they broke the tree.
Silence, so can they CC him? They can. No chance to get that BKB off. Not too much else lost, however, but Crit is going to be looking to chase that, chasing them down. As well with the Ravage on top. They want this like it, and they got him. Send him to the pound for another 50 seconds. I'm over here. Can they get any more, though? Desperate jumping Ravage into 2 tower. There's no Ravage, there's no Requiem, there's no BKB on the asset, but there is Pubber, and he's got the freezing field, laying it down. There's the kill now onto the Storm, but the Supernova will eventually scare them off. But very, very well worth it out from Gambit. Nicely done. Each and every single ultimate really just so important, and Gambit is showing that here.
Yep, now they're hiding in the trees, hoping for a kill on Blizzy here, but I don't know about this one, yeah. That fake back with people dead, Monkey King is not there, maybe Gambit's not getting the damage. Blizzy doesn't have a TP available though, as excess Vampire just dealing with Millis, making sure he can't kill off his Tidehunter, and he didn't die. That's really great for Blizzy.
I love the Bullwhip. I think it's my favorite new item, just because you can Bullwhip enemies. I think it's,
or your teammates.
I think
did you not hear the Slacks clip when he's like, I mean, this item is completely useless, but what's great about it is that I can whip my teammates into shape. And I was like, yeah, He knows how to play real Dota, right?
That's true. I just really enjoy its use on enemies. There's our Lincoln Sphere.
It's useless on enemies though. Don't use it on enemies. It's much better on your teammates yourself.
It's just really funny. It's just really funny is all it is. So there's our Lincoln Sphere completed for SF. Bottled Regen Rune. They're going to be happy to have that one off the table for Storm, as the Storm already incredibly powerful. Does need this BKB though, and I think he's probably feeling like he's needed it 5 minutes ago. Not quite at the stage of regretting the Bloodstone purchase quite yet, but a couple more deaths and we are going to be getting there.
Yeah, that Storm, when you always have this dilemma as a Storm, is like, okay, if I buy Orchid and then Bloodstone, I'm being too greedy, you know? And then if you die a couple times, you know, hindsight 2020, you go, yes, I was too greedy, but it's too late to change that build around.
And you know what? I commended PuckChamp for their early game performance when he was building that Bloodstone, and I'm not going to back down from it now. I think Gambit are just playing these fights
as a true American. Exactly. Never back down, even if your opinion is misproven.
Nope.
I think the BKB is the right choice, though. It's going to be a huge point of inflection. And as you mentioned, I don't think the Bloodstone was the wrong choice. Considering the information he had available to him at the moment and how much they were winning, I don't think they should expect, you know, Gambit to start team fights, like next level team fights, really. Because Gambit has been doing a pretty good job of clawing back into the game. Though they're not quite there yet. I think the Monkey King Axe will be the next big strength point, or big strong point for them.
Yeah.
And then they should be able to fight around that.
I think we need a BKB as well for Lycan, which sounds a little bit silly, but if he gets a BKB, there's just nothing to stop him. I mean, except for Wukong's ulti, I would suppose at this point, especially because we are now actually have the Axe completed from Johnny. So that's going to be a little bit more threatening for him. Next, going into the Eye of Scotty here for the MK to build up and get some more stats, more damage, and they're going to smoke up here, on the back end of this Axe purchase. Alrighty here.
They have everything. Literally every single teamfight ultimate, and as we mentioned, the Axe purchase. They see the Timber Saw, but they know not to go on the Timber Saw. Anyone but the Timber Saw. Okay.
No, they want the Timber Saw.
I mean, they kind of just gave up when their smoke broke. I think they were trying to back him, but they saw that there were people behind him. They're like, I like that they didn't commit, though. If they went for the Timber Saw, despite them having the Spirit Vessel, because Timber now has the Greaves, he can dispel that Spirit Vessel, and it's no longer easy to kill him.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised we didn't see like a double smoke there from Gambit. So we didn't see like a blink.
Really?
Yeah. A blink Yules into an arrow sort of setup to try and, you know, get something done.
Burst him down.
Yeah, but you're totally right about the Greaves. I'm just saying we do have some arrows set up, and here comes Melis again. Gosh darn it, they don't want him. Oh, they want instead this time. Can they find an arrow into the Ravage as well? They caught Melis from behind. Johnny has got the vision, and now he's got Bloodlust here for Melis. They can kill him quite easily as well, even through the Greaves, and 2 more kills there for Gambit onto 2 very important cores. I'm starting to think that this Storm Spirit eggs, or sorry, make that the BKB is really what PuckChamp, at this point, is kind of looking like their last hope in terms of their power spike.
The Storm BKB is, I mean, I don't know if it's last hope necessarily, but a necessity as well. They can fight it out. The team fight, though, that went really well for them was Exodus Vampire, got caught. Desperate, I like that he's still trying to go for these skirmish kills, because they can't really fight 5-on-5 any longer. As we mentioned, they're now got into their strong point in terms of team fight. But these skirmishes sometimes lead to casualties, like this poor bird, Astral. What will PETA say? PuckChamp just leaving the bird behind, letting him die. Well, great. Anyway, the play with the Lycan was really good because the arrow actually got blocked by the wolves. So they had that planned, and they had the Ravage's secondary stun. Yeah, so that's why he only had 1 wolf there, because he blocked with the arrow. So very well played by the Lycan, but what are you going to do against Ravage? You're going to die anyway. So well played there by Blizzy, and they were always thinking with a contingency plan in mind. And something that Gambit does have that's much stronger than PuckChamp is their zone out. Wukong's command, Freezing Field, Requiem, and Ravage are all great zone out skills. Yeah. If you use them, you cannot walk in, especially with heroes like Storm who like to ball lightning in, you know, go ham and just be super safe because they know they can avoid all spells. Not the case with so much AoE damage.
And this is one of my favorite Dota quotes to mention. You'll probably know where I'm going immediately. As Sheever said, as Puppy said, sometimes it's not about the black hole, it's the threat of the black hole. And because you mentioned all of this AoE, it's completely right. You know that, oh, the SF's out of position, let's all jump them. Wait, do you have vision on the Kunkka? I'm sorry, not the Kunkka, on the Tidehunter, right? Because if you do, then great, jump him, you know, if that's what you should do. But if you don't know where the Tide is, he could very well be sitting right behind, you know, placing the bait there. He is a fish, so he's very good at that. And, you know, he could potentially just get that team fight turned on its head there. But
I agree.
No, but you're right. I mean, it's a lot of this AoE. You're completely right. And at some point, without a BKB, even a Lycan and a Storm are not going to be able to run their way through that.
And Moonlight Shadow adds to that, by the way. Moonlight Shadow adds to that kind of sense of uncertainty whenever you go into a team fight as PuckChamp. And the reason why they weren't able to execute this early Gambit is because they had no map control. Now that the map is a bit more in their favor, you can start to see the true potential. Melis, let's see. Far enough to talk to BKB in time, and he could be in trouble. They actually forced out Lord off completely with a double silence here. BKB on the Monkey King, acting Wukong's command, but super effective to complete. Doesn't stun anyone, doesn't really matter though. Wukong's command destroyed as they kill off the Monkey King for the first time. Can they kill off a second time? Yes, they will be able to. He is just cannon fodder. 3 cores down, 1 bot back. The support joins the graveyard as the Tidehunter doesn't really know why he bought back to begin with. He has to defend the high ground now. That's a huge team fight for PuckChamp, which should allow them to take some nice objectives in return.
Ladies and gentlemen, wards win wars. That all transpired because of this Observer ward and that Sentry ward. They knew that they were going to jump onto Melis, and they baited him perfectly. They just set up outside of vision, and they easily jump in and punish the crap out of Gambit for that. Gambit, though, they only use the Wukong's command and Aegis, of course, so they're not completely out of it yet, but with no buyback here on SF, not back for 40 seconds, they are at risk of losing quite a few buildings here. Well, not mid anyway, because this tier 2 is still standing quite crucially, but looks like 2 lanes of barracks likely to fall. Just kidding. Just cursed it.
I don't know. As you said that as well, it's funny because you said that and they immediately retreated, which I can only imagine they're hearing you right now. I'm just doing it to spite you. But yeah, I think that, so the advantage of PuckChamp's lineup as well is that because they're drafted, they're really good at taking any team fight and turn that into objectives due to the Lycan, really. And that means that team fights are just more worthwhile for PuckChamp, right? Like for every team fight that Gambit wins, or sorry, for every team fight that PuckChamp wins, if you want to make up for that in terms of objectives, as Gambit, you probably need to take 2, maybe even 3, depending on what stage of the game you are.
Interesting.
So it's tough for you. So any sort of like comeback that you have is only a comeback if you never make mistakes. Any single mistake will be hard punished by PuckChamp.
That's a really interesting thing to point out. And at first I was going to try and find some way to contend you on that, but I actually completely
Of course, that's
agree.
you always do.
And that's what God put me on this earth to do, honestly, Alvaro. No, but I actually completely agree, because if Gambit win a team fight, chances are, especially at this stage of the game, you had to use at least one of your ultis or 2. And none of your ultis are like as small as chocolate, right? Like they're all big team fight ultis. Chances are PuckChamp wins a fight. Maybe they had to use Shapeshift, probably very likely, right? Supernova as well. That's about it. They're probably just ready to go again, right? You're not really waiting on Soulbind for much, right? That's not going to really help your push or anything like that. Yeah. So I completely agree. Not only, you know, the post-fight scenario, if PuckChamp wins, is so much better than for Gambit, right? Because if PuckChamp win a fight, if they lose a fight, and then all buy back, Gambit just have to run. There's nothing, right? But if Gambit, if Gambit lose a fight and buy back and they don't have ultis, nothing's going to scare PuckChamp away.
That's why it's so important for them to really have the utmost impact with their ultimates, which I do find that's why in the beginning I would have actually gone, and I think we did say in draft, I don't know, but I like the dire draft a bit more because the ease of execution here to a large degree, right? There's a lot of pressure. Pretty much on Blizzy. Like, Blizzy right now is just on stage, you know, there's like his 5th grade play. He's never ever performed in front of people before. He's about to puke because the poor guy has to do so much. He has to push the lanes, make sure to be the tank in the game, but also make sure not to die, but also make sure to get the perfect Ravage. Like, Blizzy, please, you know, they're just tearing him apart with this. Having a bit of an anxiety attack, this poor man. And I think we've seen it. With great Ravages from Blizzy, they can easily take team fights, but if the Ravage is just not perfect, it's very hard for them due to the mobility of PuckChamp's draft as well.
Or if he's just silenced, which sounds silly, but
has happened multiple times.
We've got 2 Orchids, remember? Yeah, there's one on Lycan here, and there's one on our Storm Spirit, which actually both make for great Orchid carriers, because guess what? They like running in ahead of the rest of their team and silencing someone and just trying to nuke them down. It's been incredibly effective here against our Tidehunter, who's gone for Phase Boot, so it's not like he can feasibly go for the Guardian Greaves now to dispel himself. And yeah, it's a bit of a problem. It might even be worth, honestly, can anyone build a Lotus here? After his Vampire, maybe. He's going for the Mjolnir first, though.
I don't know, because who's going to build a Lotus should be the Tide, right?
I mean,
Tide has so much he has to do.
You're so right.
I mean, this game, Greaves should have been a consideration for the Tide, as of just to get at the spell. I don't know.
I can't
I don't think they were expecting double Orchid.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's really the thing that they're really having difficulties dealing with here at this point is that double Orchid. Because, you know, I think normally your fallback is, Storm's going to build an Orchid. He's going to silence either our SF, or he's going to silence our Monkey King, or he's going to silence our Tide. Either way, he can only silence one of them, right? And then the other two are going to step in there, and they should be very easily able to dispatch of the rest of PuckChamp and follow up, blah, 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 right? But when two of those three are silenced, it becomes a very, very difficult thing indeed.
Sorry, I was going to say, a point I want to add about the Orchids and the silences, which I thought was really clever, is that the Orchid actually doesn't deal damage, by the way. When you silence, you don't deal damage. I know it seems stupid, but it's a great way to make sure you don't actually trigger that Kraken Shell. In this game, you really only have two sources of area damage, which is Timbersaw and Phoenix is, really supernova. So triggering the Kraken Shell is not easy. Like, it's really easy to avoid it. Lycan can just intertwine between you, Storm can ball lining away from the Tide Hunter, right? Grimstroke, just don't use Stroke of Fate, please. You know, and you're fine. Tide will never get us to spell off. And with double Orchid, both of which don't deal any damage, you got 10 seconds with which you're fighting, which Tide can't use as Ravage. And that's all you need.
You're totally right. I mean, I think maybe some people's initial reaction might be, well, isn't that bad because then they don't kill him, and then eventually he just comes back and ravages. Yes, but no, because I mean we've seen this plenty of times.
You're a big creep.
When you're a big creep during that impact, but also if you're silenced for 5 seconds, and let's be honest, I mean Dota is a game where 5 seconds. I mean in League you go 5 seconds. That's like half the game. You know, I'm locked down for that long. In this game, 5 seconds, you're dead you're dead 5 times over in 5 seconds, right? Let's be honest. Especially
I count that thing.
Especially
I can talk to ESL now. We did the free jab at League. All right, you got it, guys. We got it. Add those $50 to the
I expect my bonus in the mail. But it's true, right? I mean, 5 seconds, you can kill an entire team in 5 seconds easily. And
indeed, particularly Lycan Storm.
Exactly. Right? And so as long as you silence the Tide Hunter, he just stands there. He's a big creep. He's gonna solar crest someone, and that's his team fight contribution. You kill either the SF or the Monkey when he's silenced, and he's not going to want to Ravage when he's on silence. That's just the way the game is.
That's true as well, because you only have
a buyback or a TP point. That's the exception. But generally speaking, in a 5-on-5 engagement, that's going to be the way it's going to play out.
You only have one source of damage realistically on Gambit. Like SF is a good source of damage early, usually, but usually the whole shtick of SF is, guys, I don't need to buy any damage items, which is great, and you still deal a decent source of damage now, but you're not the main source of damage. That's definitely Monkey by a long shot. So the moment that Monkey's dead, as PuckChamp, you're pretty much safe, especially with heroes like Timbersaw or Lycan, which are relatively tanky. You need that damage. The SF doesn't do enough, which is remarks the point about the Ravage you were mentioning.
Definitely.
Look at Blizzy now. He's pretending like, guys, I'm still just pushing alone. I swear there's nobody behind me. There's nobody in this high ground. I hope you don't come and check. That'd be awful.
Gambit are doing a little bit of the the regular W push here. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't be fooled again. Because they're not going to be taking back base.
Was that what he said? Exactly. I always remember.
He's got lots of quotes.
That's a good one. That was a great one. All right, Melis. He walks in. Okay, Monkey's just giving a free Jingle Mastery. Not too bad. Shapeshift, Ravage, stopping completely. Wrecking Assault's perfectly planned. And Crypt is done for. Melis as well. Look at that team fight by Gambit. They were not expecting that whatsoever. Blizzy got the perfect Ravages we were speaking about, and really good counter initiation by Lornoff. Now also finding the Phoenix, and they can stop his Supernova from coming out completely. CM from behind will end up dying, but honestly, it's a CM. She's meant to die at this point.
Yep. That was a 10-second behavior.
Oh, Monkey?
Oh, not
no shards, so he still takes too long for the tree dents to reach the storm, so he can't really chase after him.
I want to point out something huge here, and for posterity's sake, I'll just go ahead and explain it like this is the first time you've seen this item, because perhaps for a decent amount of your viewers, it is. It's a new Tier 4 neutral item added in 7.28 called the Stormcrafter, which activates a mini Cyclone for yourself for 0.75 seconds. Most importantly, in this game, it dispels you.
That's very true. And that's better than Yule's because you want a quick cycle in this case, just for the quick dispel. Oh yeah. Because I always see this item as being absolute trash the majority of the time. But for this game particularly, again.
Trimp for a better item, except for maybe the Minotaur Horn.
Yeah, and which they also got, by the way. So Ice Frog today, we know what team he's rooting for. It's fine.
Yeah,
he's a Gambit fan. I get it.
These are great neutral items here for Gambit. Let's take a look here at the neutral items that we have for PuckChamp, as they also have collected themselves all of their tier 4s.
Penta Edge Sword is pretty great for Lycan.
Yep.
It adds a bit of attack range, but more importantly, it adds the maim. For those of you that are old Dota veterans like myself, you remember maim from Sanj. It's really the same effect.
Yep.
Yeah, literally the same effect. Well, I think it's maybe a bit buffed compared to Sanj, but it's the same idea. Reduces movement speed and attack speed. Really good for Lycan, because as Lycan, you kind of get to a point where you have to decide, should I still like commit to death push Lycan, death ball Lycan, or should I become more a real carry, right? And this game with the Orchid Assault Harass build, and BKB as well, it seems more like he's going for the real carry build, and Penta Edge Sword really helps him in that sense. Old Lycans back in the day did used to build Sanjay quite often, particularly for that.
Yeah, and I mean, you still do have yourself a very nice leveler in your backpack, so also best of both worlds.
Yep, yeah. Level up probably for when you want to do the death ball push, right? Initiation here for the Mirana. He has a BKB, so they only go for the Mirana for now. They want to catch the Monkey as well. Monkey standing his ground, and they can't quite kill Xani. The CM, she has a BKB!
She's going in. She's like, guys, why didn't we fight?
She also used it to dispel her own Frostbite because she knows that the single misstep by this Crystal Maiden means death.
That's great. All right, so just a buyback there from Gambit. Again, you're kind of happy with that. They're going to be able to slow down this Roche attempt. You did utilize not only Shapeshift there, but also the 9-second BKB here on your Storm Spirit. So it's 20 seconds till you have that one back up. No ultis used except for a 10-second BKB on Maiden, which honestly does kind of suck because, I mean, BKBs are really powerful on Maiden, to be honest. But I think it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but you're a Maiden, right? So I think any team fight you come out and you're still alive at the end should be a success for you, honestly. Like, playing Maiden at this point in the game is like having diabetes and going for a Halloween trick-or-treat, right?
I mean, hey, that would be true, except you're forgetting that level 20 talent of 200 attack speed is actually very much needed against the Phoenix this game.
It's true. It reminds me of that post where they spoke what the 200 attack speed talent was for high ranks and low ranks. For low ranks is to buy Dezo, and for high ranks is to deal with wards, Tombstone, and Supernova. Yeah, exactly. The two ways of seeing Dota, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking is, Pupper, where's your Dezo? Right? I know you used to play carry. Do not lie to me. You can play carry Maiden easily, dude.
Yeah, I think he probably was with a little bit into carry mentality there, popping that BKB and hoping to run it. I think the rest of it seems like, yo, baby, chill.
He's like, what are you doing, guys? Oh, okay. I see. You're afraid. You're afraid of the ME team.
Let me at him. All right, well, here they go again. Another smoke, but Gambit very wisely
Axe on Storm.
High ground. Jumping in, desperate though. Honey Quizzy, as he will now be reached up onto Stu. Now they're going to be looking to jump him on another silence over there. It's going to be BKB off the main Supernova. A lot of damage, but Craig right on top of him, as well as the Supernova doing tons of damage. And the run the backside, but really all the attention in the world is onto this Monkey King. Down he goes. Blizzy pops a BKB, but is unable to really get much done. They have lost the Stormer Spirit, however, who has bombed back.
That was still very well played, particularly by the Phoenix, because we talked about how good zone out Gambit has, but we do have one source of zone out in PuckChamp, which is the Phoenix Supernova, right? Perfect positioning for them there. Now trying to sneak a quick Roshan with a Lycan. It should be possible, but can they get there in time? I mean, this Roshan's about to follow the arrow. It's the Lycan! They can fight this! Love Engineers too! That's where he's the BKB, takes the Aegis, fights the Mirana, kills the Mirana easily. The Tide can't do anything! Lornov is forced to BKB TP, because he's completely useless in the face of death. They've lost the Tide Hunter and the Mirana, neither of which have 5-back. CM is just an extra treat. Why? Okay, sure. Gambit will have to defend this with only 2 heroes, and they also lost Roshan and Aegis. That fight could have been, I mean, it pretty much might be the game-winning fight for PuckChamp.
I think it was a very, very bold move to go for that Roche call there, as you said, but it worked out beautifully for them. I will say, though, just because I think I nearly missed it, SF picked up the Refresher Shard consumed it, got a Requiem off, BKB'd, and runs on home. Will it be enough to save the day? Honestly, I don't think so, just with the push. We were talking about it earlier, but this push is just devastatingly strong here off the side of PuckChamp. There's going to be no Tidehunter for another minute, no Mirana. There's your 2 cores. I don't think they're going to be able to hold on to this one, though. SF does have buyback. Yeah, I think this is it. I think PuckChamp are going to take this game.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
In the craziest of fashions, after I think the Phoenix Supernova really was what won them in the game, forcing a couple bad buybacks, and then just fighting that Roshan fight. Ill-advised for Gambit. One simple mistake can lose you this game. Wukong's command, your ring is massive, but it doesn't matter if you don't deal any damage. And yeah, Timbersaw doesn't care. Look at this, the Monkey King desperately trying to force the team out of his base. Activates BKB, this will be the last fight. Supernova's been used. Monkey, back to the fountain you go, as your Ancient's about to fall. The GG will be called, and PuckChamp will win game number 1 of this series against Gambit Esports.
Yeah, I mean, just very, very impressive game. This was really clean Dota.